Day 11, after the Haiti earthquake. Rescue teams have already left this supermarket. For them, it's no longer a rescue site. It's a grave. But one man keeps coming back. He climbs the rubble one more time. He calls his brother's name into the cracks. And this time, a voice answers from deep under the concrete. Faint, hoarse, but alive. 11 days after the building came down, someone is still breathing inside it. How do you survive 11 days buried under a collapsed building with no rescue, no sunlight, and no way out? This is the true story of Wismond Exantis, and what kept him alive down there is something no one expected. Let's go back to the moment everything ended. January 12, 2010, Port-au-Prince, Haiti, late afternoon. Inside the Caribbean supermarket, a young cashier named Wismond Exantis is scanning items, taking cash, exchanging small nods with tired customers. 60 seconds from now, this ordinary day will be over for everyone inside this building. The floor twitches, then the shaking explodes. Shelves rip loose, glass erupts, the lights die, the store drops into total darkness. People run for the exit, but the exit is already gone. In under a minute, the entire supermarket folds in on itself. Floors pancake. Hundreds of tons of concrete come crashing down. And then nothing, silence. We don't know how long he's unconscious. When Wismond opens his eyes, there is no light. Not dim, not gray, just pure black. He tries to move, pain hits hard. One arm is pinned under something solid. His legs are wedged between slabs. His chest has barely enough space to rise and fall. He can't sit up, he can't crawl, he can barely turn his head. Every breath pulls in dust and powdered concrete. It burns his throat. Coughing feels like being stabbed. Then he hears it. Crying, moaning, voices calling for help from every direction. Men, women, maybe children, all of them buried somewhere nearby in their own pockets of rubble. He yells back, and for a while voices answer, above him, below him, behind walls of broken stone. It sounds like a hidden city of trapped people, all shouting into darkness. Hours pass. Then one voice goes quiet, then another. Shouts turn to whispers, whispers turn to silence. One woman somewhere to his left had been calling a name over and over. The same name, again and again, until her voice cracked and then stopped completely. He waited for her to start again. She never did. One by one, the people around him stop answering. And the silence that fills the space where their voices used to be is heavier than the concrete above him. Now it's just him, his breathing, his heartbeat. And one thought that won't go away. No one knows I'm here. His hand brushes against something in the dark, something that isn't concrete, something that isn't steel. He can't see it, he can't identify it. But whatever it is, it might be the only thing that decides whether he lives or dies in this place. While Wismond lies trapped in the dark, the world above him is falling apart. The earthquake measured 7. In a country full of weak concrete buildings, that number means mass destruction. Entire neighborhoods are flattened. Hundreds of thousands of people are dead. Rescue teams from around the world pour into Haiti. They come to the Caribbean supermarket. They pull out people near the surface, some alive, many dead. But the deeper pockets, the ones buried under layers of concrete, are almost impossible to reach. After about a week, officials make an announcement. The rescue phase is over. From this point on, they expect to find remains, not survivors. For anyone still alive underground, the world above has already moved on. Back in his pocket of darkness, Wismond's fingers keep exploring. He feels the object again, plastic, smooth, cold. He traces its shape, a bottle lying on its side. His hand moves further, more bottles, crinkly wrappers, small boxes. His heart jumps. He searches by touch until his fingers close around something small and rectangular, a box of matches. He pulls one out, strikes it. A tiny flame jumps to life, and for the first time since the earthquake, the darkness pulls back. What he sees is terrifying. Jagged slabs of concrete hover inches above his face, steel bars twisted like wire, walls so close he can touch both sides at once. But what he sees next changes everything. Scattered around him within arm's reach, bottled soft drinks, packets of biscuits, snacks, small bags of chips. The supermarket shelves collapsed around his body but not on it. By some freak accident of physics, they formed a tiny pocket, and that pocket is stocked with supplies. The match burns down to his fingers. He shakes it out. Darkness swallows him again. But now he knows something he didn't know before. He has a chance. He sets his rules immediately. Tiny sips, never gulps. Small bites, never full meals. Matches only when absolutely necessary because fire eats oxygen, and oxygen is the one thing he cannot replace. He forces himself to put the bottle down after 2 small sips, even though every part of his body is screaming to drain it in one go. He starts to pray, out loud, not just for comfort but for structure. Prayer gives his mind something to hold on to, words to say, thoughts to organize. Without it, the panic would eat him alive. But discipline can only do so much. Because the real enemy isn't hunger or thirst. It's time. Down in his pocket, time stops making sense. There is no sunrise, no sunset, no way to tell minutes from hours. Day 3 maybe day 4, he's lost count already. He wakes up. He doesn't know if he slept for 20 minutes or 10 hours. He reaches for a bottle, takes his 2 sips and puts it back. His body starts to change. His muscles shrink. Moving even a little takes more effort every time he wakes up. His lips crack. His throat stays raw no matter how much he drinks. The sweet fizzy liquid keeps him alive, but it never actually satisfies the thirst. And then there's the silence. In the first days he could still hear faint sounds from above. Engines, metal clanging, distant shouts, proof that the world still existed up there. But slowly, those sounds disappeared as rescue teams moved to other sites. Now there is nothing. Just his breathing and the occasional creak of settling concrete that makes his whole body freeze, because every shift in the rubble could be the one that closes this pocket forever. To keep his mind from turning on him, he builds a routine. He prays. He sings quietly. He talks to himself just to hear a human voice. He recites things he remembers, conversations, songs, anything to fill the silence with something other than fear. But somewhere around what he thinks might be day 7 or day 8, something changes. He reaches for the bottles and counts them by touch. There are fewer than he thought. The food is almost gone. The drinks are running out. For the first time, the math becomes very simple. If no one comes within the next few days, the supplies end. And shortly after that, so does he. But here's what most people wouldn't expect. The hardest part wasn't the hunger. It wasn't the thirst. It wasn't even the injuries. It was making the same decision, over and over in total darkness, with no proof that it mattered. One more sip, one more prayer, one more day. He doesn't know it, but far above him, someone else has been making that exact same decision every single day. On the surface, most families have started to grieve. They haven't seen their loved ones. They've seen the ruins. They need to start accepting what happened and find a way to move forward. But Wismond's brother can't do that. He knows Wismond was working that day. He knows he was inside the supermarket when it came down. But he has never seen a body. There is no grave. And without that, he can't let go. Even after the rescue teams pack up and leave the supermarket site, his brother keeps going back. Day after day. He climbs the same pile of rubble. He leans into the cracks and calls the same name. People around him think he's in denial, that he needs to accept the truth and move on. He doesn't care what they think. His logic is simple. Until he sees his brother's body, his brother is not dead. Every day he goes back, and every day he hears nothing. But he goes back again anyway. Because giving up would mean deciding that Wismond is gone, and he's not ready to make that decision. Not yet. On the 11th day after the earthquake, the brother returns one more time. The supermarket is still a broken mountain of concrete and steel. The area is mostly quiet now. No more rescue vehicles. No more search dogs. For the rest of the world, this building is finished. He steps onto the slabs. He cups his hands around his mouth. He calls his brother's name into the ruins, the same way he has every day for almost 2 weeks. And this time, something happens that hasn't happened before. A sound comes back. Very faint, so faint he's not sure he actually heard it. He freezes, holds his breath, calls again. And from somewhere deep under the concrete, a voice answers. Weak, hoarse, barely more than a whisper. But unmistakably human, and unmistakably his brother. Wismond is alive. 11 days after the collapse, 11 days after everyone stopped looking. The brother doesn't hesitate, he screams for help. Word spreads through the area within minutes. Someone is alive under the Caribbean supermarket. A few international rescue teams are still operating in Port-au-Prince. French teams, Greek teams, others. Officially, the rescue window closed days ago. But no real rescuer ignores a living voice. They come back to the site. They bring listening devices, cameras on long poles, cutting tools. But their best guide is still the brother, standing on the rubble, pointing to the exact spot where he heard the answer. They press microphones to the concrete. They call down into the cracks. A muffled voice comes back. It's real, someone is alive down there. Now comes the most dangerous part of the entire story. They can't just tear the building apart. The same pile of rubble that trapped Wismond is also the structure holding his air pocket open. One wrong move, one slab shifted the wrong way, and the pocket collapses. The thing keeping him alive becomes the thing that kills him. They have to take this building apart piece by piece, from the top down, without disturbing the delicate balance that has kept one man breathing for 11 days. They start cutting. Saws bite into concrete. Smaller chunks are pulled away by hand. Every piece that comes loose makes the pile shift and groan. They brace anything that looks unstable. They work slowly, carefully, building a narrow tunnel down toward the sound. Every few minutes they stop everything, complete silence, they call down. Can you hear us? Are you still there? Keep talking. And each time a weak voice answers, still alive, still holding on. But then during one of those pauses, there's no answer. They call again, nothing. The rescue team looks at each other. They've seen this before. Sometimes you hear a voice for hours, and by the time you break through, it's gone. They call one more time. Silence. And then faintly, almost too quiet to hear, a voice comes back. He's still there. They dig faster. Inside his pocket, Wismond hears sounds he hasn't heard in days. Metal cutting into stone, rubble being moved, voices right above him, getting closer with every minute. But he also feels the concrete around him shifting. Dust falls on his face. Small pieces of debris drop near his head. He knows what this means. They're close, but every cut they make is changing the structure around him. The pocket that kept him alive for 11 days could collapse in the next 5 minutes. All he can do is lie perfectly still and wait. After hours of cutting and digging, a tool punches through a final thin layer of concrete. A small hole opens. Light pours in. And for the first time in 11 days, Wismond Exantus sees something other than darkness. They slide him out of the gap and onto a stretcher. 11 days after being buried alive, Wismond Exantus returns to the surface. Outside, a crowd has gathered, his family, neighbors, strangers. They watch in silence as rescuers carry out a man they had already mourned. A man they had already accepted was dead. Some people start clapping, some cry, some just stand there unable to process what they're seeing. He survived on a few bottles of soft drinks, some scattered biscuits, a box of matches, and a decision he made over and over again in the dark. Not yet. One more sip, one more prayer, one more day. In a disaster that silenced hundreds of thousands of voices, his was still answering after 11 days. And the only reason anyone heard it was because one person above the rubble refused to stop listening. Sometimes, that's the entire difference between being lost and being found. One more call into the dark, one more answer from below. If this story made you hold your breath even once, imagine being Wismond. 11 days, no light, no rescue coming. Could you have held on? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, from earthquakes and shipwrecks to deserts, jungles and frozen seas, hit subscribe so the next one finds you.